So today we are going to talk about learning target number 9, and it's basically combining the hidden triangles we did in learning target number 8 and the volume that we just did in learning target number 7. So if you turn to page 45, we're going to start with this number 1 here, and we're just going to do number 1, and then we'll do number 1 on page 46. So if you remember, so let's read it here. It says Susan uses a cone-shaped paper cup to shown to get some water from a water cooler. What is the depth of the paper cup? So the depth of the paper cup is another word for height. Okay, and that's this part here. Okay, so I don't know the height, but I do have another piece of information, and there is a hidden shape in here. If you see it, you might see this hidden right triangle, which is right here. And if it's a right triangle, that means we can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out one of the sides. So from Pythagorean theorem, you know that the longest side is my c, that's always across from my 90-degree angle. And so I can use my a squared plus b squared equals c squared to find that missing side. So I would have 5 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. I have 25 plus x squared equals 100. Subtract 25 from each side. I have x squared equals 75. And if you look at the problem, it says to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. The square root of 75 is 8.7, okay, and that's in centimeters, and that is my height. That's this part of the triangle, okay? So we just use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out that part, okay? So if you determine then it says to determine the volume. Well, to determine the volume of a cone, the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h, okay? What we do need is we need a radius. That ends up being 5. Remember, radius is half the diameter. So my radius is 5, and the height we just found was 8.7. Okay, so I'm going to use that and plug that in. So when I plug it in, it should look like this: pi 5 squared times 8.7. And you can type this all in your calculator, and since it says round to the nearest tenth, you're going to multiply 5. So this is how you type it in your calculator. See it here? Let's see, let's get a good angle here. Alright, so 1 divided by 3, or 1/3, times, let me zoom in for you. I don't want to get a glare. It's probably better over here. 1/3 times pi, just as you see it, use the pi button. Don't type in 3.14, you have to use the pi button, times 5 squared times 8.7. Then you can just press equal. I have 227.7. I got to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm looking at the 100th place. 6 tells me to round it up, so it's 227.8. And that will be centimeters, and remember, volume is always cubed. Okay. Alright, so that is how to use a hidden triangle to find the volume. So sometimes you'll be given the slant height, that's what it's called, and you'll need to find the height of the triangle in order to find the volume. Okay, if you turn the page 46, we're going to go over this one here. So it says, what is the volume of the sphere shown below? If you notice, the volume of a sphere, if you look at your reference table, that yellow reference table, that's the formula for a sphere. Notice this is cubed and not squared, so be careful when you're writing it. And so you need to know the radius in order to do that. Well, the radius is any length from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. So that's r squared here. Okay, so, but you notice this r and this r, those are both radiuses. So I have to use a hidden triangle in here, hint this one, in order to find my radius so I can find the volume. So I always recommend to draw that triangle out here so you can kind of see what's going to be A, what's going to be B. Okay? In this case, ours are the same, so a squared plus b squared, those are our legs, and the c is going to be our 20. So you have r squared plus r squared equals 20 squared. Okay? If you notice, how many r squareds do we have? We have 2r. This equals 400. Okay? These are like terms, so just like this, if this was r and r, we get 2r. If these are both r squared, we can get 2r squared. Okay? And this goes, how do I get r alone? So first I have to get that 2 out of the way. That cancels out those. I'm left with r squared equals 200. How do I get r alone now? I have to take the square root. So if you take the square root of 200, oh, it says give an exact answer using the square root. So your radius is going to be the square root of 200. Okay? That's the exact answer. Okay? Then it wants you to use that in your volume. Okay? So your volume formula, like we said before, is 4/3 pi r cubed. So all I need to do is fill in the r. And I'm just going to fill it in parentheses. I'm going to put square root of 200, and I'm going to cube it. And I'm literally just going to type that in. Don't let this freak you out. All you got to do is type it in your calculator. I'm going to show you how to do it. So take your calculator. You're going to type in 4/3 using the A-B button. So 4/3 times pi, but this one wants you to leave it exact, so we're going to leave pi in the answer. Okay? So I'm just going to multiply 4/3 times the square root. Actually, I'm going to put parentheses first. Parentheses, the square root of 200. And I want that to the third power. Okay? So it's kind of a lot. If you want to do it separate, it's okay. You might as well multiply it by 5. So actually go ahead and type this whole thing in because it's not going to be a nice number anyway. So you're going to do 4/3 times pi times the square root of 200 to the third power. And that should get you a long number, 11847. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. 7. Let's say centimeters cubed. So don't forget to write your units down. Okay? Alright, so those are 2 examples I wanted to go over. We're going to finish more of this tomorrow in class, so take them. That's all you need to do for notes. Take the classwork. If you haven't asked for it already, ask for the classwork. The classwork is a packet that looks like this, and your job is to get through. If you're first and third period, you need to get up to question 13. And if you are 7th period, you need to get up to question 7. That's just because 2 of you have extended and 2 of you don't. Okay? This volume worksheet is just to calculate volume. It's not to do any of the hidden triangle stuff we just did. So all you're doing is you're going to use the volume formulas on the yellow reference sheet, and you're going to plug in the radius and the numbers to get the volume. It says round your answers to the nearest tenth, so you should be multiplying pi. So you should have V equals pi r squared h. This is a cylinder. So you're going to use a cylinder volume formula. Pi, r is 6, and h is 21. Now I'm just going to type that in your calculator. This one's easy, so press pi times 6 squared times 21, and you'll get your answer. So for this one, it's 237, 5 round to the nearest tenth, 0.0. And just make sure to put your units, okay? Remember, this is your homework grade, so your account's completion. So you're going to work through this. Make sure it's complete. Your answers don't have to be right, but there needs to be work done, such as this, so I know where you got your answers from and where you made your mistake, okay? So go through the questions, answer this, and make sure to hand it in before you leave. Use that yellow reference sheet to help you find the formulas for each shape. Thanks for watching.